and welcome back to another episode of Quarantine Marketing, a podcast powered by Oceanus Digital. Make sure you guys are following us on our Instagram, Facebook, and obviously subscribing to our YouTube channel. You're here, just click the subscribe button, man. It's too easy. It's right there. Just do it up. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you a story that I want you guys to listen to today. And it's not a story about sales, marketing, project management tools. It's a story I'm just willing to share. The reason why I'm sharing a story is because it's much easier to talk to you guys from a story form rather than educating you on something. You just listen to one boring guy. I'll do some educational pieces, but I like to do those educational pieces with thought leaders and entrepreneurs that have the same mindset as me. But today's the story. And the story is how to take that bigger picture. Obviously, it's a concept. How to take a bigger picture and apply it. Whoa, are you sure you're telling us a story, Alex? Well, yeah, I'm telling you guys a story. I'm going to share a story about my grandfather today. My grandfather is one of the most important people in my life. He's been the biggest influence in my life. And at age 13, he told me something that at that time made a great difference to me. And recently, about 6 months ago, opened up my eyes again. So the story is you're destined to make a legacy. I'm trying to figure out his words, but essentially his words were, you are to create a legacy and a dynasty for your kids and your kids' kids to come. Those are very powerful words. 13 years old when you're hearing this is at my bar mitzvah as he's giving me my present necklace. And if you're a Jew, your grandparents give you the biggest present. And they gave me this humongous gold chain, which I still have. I'm not wearing because my neck's bigger than it was when I was 13, and I haven't extended it further. But the whole point of it is that picture started getting smaller. When now he talks to me about when are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? What is your plan for that? Right. Now, I looked at it and I talked to him about this a week ago. And this is why I wanted to bring it up to you guys. It's like, the picture gets smaller and smaller with everything I did. And I don't know if you guys lost faith in me or am I doing something wrong? And what is it that I need to do? And my grandfather sat there and laughed. And he laughed. Why did he laugh? Because when he told me that, look, you need to get married and have kids, he's given me the necessary steps to move to that picture. Building a legacy and a dynasty with my family name. He wasn't telling me that I'm unsuccessful and I haven't fulfilled his prophecy, as you would call it. And I'm saying prophecy and I'm using all these big words and dynasties and legacy is because, I'm going to share another Viking story and how everything kind of relates to today in business. And he said to me, it's not that you haven't fulfilled your prophecy. I'm giving you the necessary steps to move forward. And sometimes we forget to take the small steps to get to the big step. So a good friend of mine, who's actually one of our hosts here on Quarantine Marketing, told me to write journals. And this is where it came up. I started writing a journal. And I started to open up my beliefs. So if you guys are listening to this right now still, please grab a journal and start writing your thoughts. Start writing your memories. Start writing a diary. But don't share with people. Those are your thoughts. Those are your goals. Those are your accomplishments. So I highly encourage you guys to do that. But it was funny. And I started to think about those smaller steps that I need to take. I started my own business. I started making revenue. I started saving money. I started to build my own wealth. I've already taken the necessary steps to start building a dynasty and create important financial structures for my family that's eventually to come. I'm a single man. And I don't have a girlfriend. And I don't have kids. And yes, I am looking. So ladies, if you're single, call me. You guys know where to find me. But the whole point of us was, is that, yes, I got to take the necessary small steps to move forward. And he's 100% right. And it goes back to, let's go to Vikings, right? Vikings era of the conqueror Ragnar Lothbrok. You guys heard those stories before, right? You guys heard the stories how he invaded England and France and some of his fails and some of his fortunes. You've read those stories, but those are stories wrote by the English man that we read in our books. The colonial man that wrote those books in the history that we read, right? They were conquerors, they were nasty people. But it's not true in their eyes. They just had different beliefs and they had different values, just like people do today everywhere we go. And we don't question those people. And if you do, you're wrong. Everybody has their own sets of beliefs and everybody has their own sets of values. But Ragnar Lothbrok, he was a farmer. But he wanted the world for his family. He didn't want fame. He didn't want anything but the world for his family. That's all he wanted. He wanted to create a dynasty. And when he went to war with his fellow Vikings, he always told them, remember why we do this. And the reason why they did this, they did it for not themselves, but for their kids' kids and their kids to come. They were fighting for land. They were fighting to build a dynasty for their families, one way or another. And that's just how they did it back in the East. Back in the day. It's Monday. It's okay. But my point is, history brings us to the present sometimes all the time. And we look back at history to how to relate it to the present. And we look back at what some people have done to move ourselves forward. So essentially what I'm trying to tell you guys today and what this podcast is all about is take the time to understand what your beliefs are if you don't know what they are. Or take the time to bring them back to reality. Because I forgot what my belief was. I forgot why I do what I do all the time. I forgot. I have a business. I'm a pretty successful entrepreneur. I'm moving forward in tough, difficult situations with this coronavirus about. But I forgot what I'm doing all this for. Was it fun? Was it wealth? No. I'm doing it to build a dynasty. I'm doing it for the legacy of myself. I'm doing it for wealth for my family, for my kids to come, for my parents, for my sisters and brothers. That's why I do it. I don't do this for myself. There's a bigger picture than myself of why I want to be the most successful person out there. Am I going to be Mark Cuban? Probably not. It's tough. Will I strive? Of course. Of course I will strive to be Mark Cuban. And if you don't strive to be like him, that's your belief. But if you don't have a belief, you should figure it out. So essentially, what I want you to focus on after this video is the bigger picture. But I also want you to lay out how you're going to get to that bigger picture. Because yes, we have these big dreams, we have these big goals that we all want to accomplish. But if you don't take the small necessary chances, you're not going to get there. You're not going to get to your goals if you don't take the small steps, if you don't take the small actions. So let's relate it back to sales. Let's relate it back to business. You have a niche, you have an idea. You want to start your own restaurant, you want to start your own CPA firm. What do? You create a business plan. With that business plan, you start to place it down on every single day of the things you're going to execute. You start to write down, I'm going to do 30 phone calls a day. You start to write down, I'm going to do 2 Facebook posts. You're going to start to write down, I'm going to reach out to A, B, and C. You're going to start to use project management tools and reminders to get to where you want to get to. Because you need those small necessary tasks and initiatives and partnerships and affiliations, essentially what it is, to move yourself forward. And if you're not doing that, who will? Think about it. So I challenge you. I challenge you today. First, go on Amazon.com. And Amazon, I'm going to make you some money right now. And wherever they buy the journal from, buy a journal. Buy a journal where you could write, not type, write. Because we have thoughts in our head all the time that are big, but then they tend to leave our head. Why is that? Well, that's just because our heads can't just have so much capacity. Yet, it's all in here. It's like a memory. We just got to search for it. Sometimes we got to search for it. Things that we saw 7 years ago sometimes pop in our head. You get those deja vus? You think about those? I'm really taking it to a philosophy lesson here. But take the time to buy a book, a journal, and take the time to write in it. Share your thoughts and put them into action. In order to get to your bigger goal, you got to take the small necessary steps to get there. And you will see it, but it doesn't happen right away. You will not get to your goal the second you watch this video. You will not. And if I told you that, because I told you to buy a journal, you're going to get to your goal? No. But I want you to envision what your beliefs are. I want you to envision what your goals are. I want you to write them down. And then I want you to think about the steps you need to take to get there. And as you start to think about those steps to get there, I want you to write them down because they're crucial. Because if you don't write them down, you'll forget about them. And they may come up 3 years later. They may come up 3 years later and you're like, whoa, I thought about this 3 years ago. Why didn't I do it? Da-da. Well, get to it. Get to it now and let's get it done. Alrighty? That's my podcast for the day. That's my message to you today. There's no sales. There's no marketing. I just wanted to relay a message and a story to you to let you know that the bigger picture sometimes needs smaller actions. So start taking those smaller actions.